Number 1. Point Nemo. A point in the South Pacific where the nearest humans are astronauts, 400 kilometers above you on the International Space Station. The coordinates are 48 degrees, 52.6 minutes south, 123 degrees, 23.6 minutes west. Formerly designated the oceanic pole of inaccessibility, Point Nemo sits 2,688 kilometers from the three nearest landmasses: Ducie Island, Motu Nui, near Easter Island, and Maher Island off Antarctica. No shipping lane crosses it, no habitation exists anywhere near it. Croatian-Canadian survey engineer Hrvoje Lukatela first calculated this position in 1992 using a geospatial optimization program. The ISS orbits at roughly 400 kilometers altitude. That orbital distance is shorter than the distance from Point Nemo to any inhabited land. At any given moment, the closest human beings to this coordinate are floating in space. This is also a graveyard. Since 1971, over 263 deorbited spacecraft have been deliberately crashed into this stretch of ocean. NASA and the European Space Agency operate what they call a targeted re-entry protocol. When a piece of orbital hardware reaches end of life, mission controllers calculate a descent trajectory aimed at this coordinate window. The Soviet Mir station ended here. China's Tiangong-1 space station was among the more recent high-profile entries, though its re-entry was less controlled than agencies typically prefer. On the seafloor, roughly 4,000 meters down, researchers are studying what those impacts left behind: titanium fragments, aluminum alloys, solar panel composites, traces of toxic hydrazine from rocket fuel systems accumulating in the sediment. The statistical risk to human life is functionally zero, and that is precisely the point. The ocean here was barren long before the first spacecraft arrived. The South Pacific Gyre, a massive rotating current system, creates what marine biologists call biological silence. Nutrient levels are among the lowest measured anywhere on Earth. The Antarctic circumpolar current blocks nutrient-rich water from reaching the region, producing a water column so empty that seafloor organisms are almost non-existent. In navigational terms, Point Nemo sits above the Albatross Cordillera, part of the East Pacific Rise, a tectonically active mid-ocean ridge under weather conditions that include massive swells and hurricane-force southern ocean winds. No rescue infrastructure exists within thousands of kilometers. No scientific outpost has ever been built here because the logistics are prohibitively expensive. And yet, despite total isolation, significant microplastic concentrations have been found in the water column. Contamination reaches even the most remote place on Earth. Then, in 1997, things got stranger. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration recorded an ultra-low frequency, extremely high amplitude sound originating near Point Nemo. They called it the bloop. NOAA hydrophone arrays detected it across sensors separated by thousands of miles. Frequency analysis showed a profile consistent with a massive cryogenic fracture event, a colossal piece of Antarctic ice cracking apart. Compared to known biological sounds, a blue whale call, the loudest biological sound on Earth, does not match the bloop's amplitude or frequency signature. The mainstream scientific explanation settled on ice quakes. But the speculative community had a different reading entirely. The bloop's origin coordinates sit remarkably close to the fictional city of R'lyeh, described by H.P. Lovecraft in his 1928 story, The Call of Cthulhu. Lovecraft placed R'lyeh at 47 degrees, 9 minutes south, 126 degrees, 43 minutes west. He wrote those coordinates decades before anyone identified the pole of inaccessibility. The proximity is a genuine coincidence, and the speculative community ran with it, tying the bloop to deep-sea gigantism theories and Lovecraftian mythology. It became a cultural phenomenon. Three frameworks compete for how we understand this place. The mainstream position. Point Nemo is forbidden purely by distance and indifference. There is nothing there worth reaching. The environmental theory. Accumulating spacecraft debris and microplastics are creating a slow-motion contamination zone in what should be pristine ocean. The fringe reading. The convergence of acoustic anomalies, Lovecraftian coordinates, and deliberate spacecraft dumping makes Point Nemo a modern mythology site, a place where humanity unconsciously chose to bury its most advanced technology in its most lifeless coordinate. Legally, no government bans you from Point Nemo. It sits in international waters. But 2,688 kilometers of empty ocean in every direction is a more effective barrier than any fence. The laws of physics and logistics do what no government needs to. Humanity chose its most lifeless coordinate to bury its most advanced technology, and that pattern, the relationship between emptiness and secrecy, reverses completely with the next entry on this list. Instead of a place forbidden by vacancy, this one is forbidden by human secrecy so extreme that even most officials inside the government that created it have never been allowed through its door. Number 2, Room 39. A room inside a government building in Pyongyang that even most senior North Korean officials have never seen. Its official designation is Central Committee Bureau 39 of the Workers' Party of Korea. It was established in the late 1970s by Kim Il-sung. Its purpose, managing the supreme leader's private wealth through a parallel financial system known internally as the court economy. Revenue estimates from Western intelligence agencies place Room 39's annual output between $500 million and $1 billion in hard currency. That figure rivals the gross domestic product of some small nations, all flowing through a single covert bureau. The physical location is housed within the Workers' Party complex in Pyongyang. No public signage, no official acknowledgement. The leadership structure reports directly to the supreme leader, bypassing all standard government ministries. The operational portfolio reads like a catalog of international crime. The supernote operation produced counterfeit $100 bills so sophisticated they fooled United States scanning technology for years. The notes required forensic-level detection, and the program is widely credited with forcing the U.S. Treasury to redesign American currency. Narcotics production ties Room 39 to industrial-scale methamphetamine manufacturing and poppy cultivation for global export. Insurance fraud investigations have linked the Bureau to international scams using North Korean state assets. Gold mining operations funnel bullion through shadow intermediaries in Europe and China. The financial architecture extends globally. The Daesung Group operates as one of Room 39's primary commercial arms. Front companies in Singapore, Hong Kong, and the Middle East present themselves as legitimate businesses. Sanctions evasion is a specialty. Ship-to-ship transfers of coal and oil bypass United Nations trade embargoes. Luxury procurement channels smuggle banned Mercedes-Benz vehicles, cognac, and high-end technology for the Kim family. And increasingly, the operation connects to cyber warfare. The Lazarus Group, a hacking collective linked to Pyongyang, has executed cryptocurrency heists estimated in the hundreds of millions, representing an evolution from counterfeiting paper currency to stealing digital currency across 4 decades. The primary intelligence source is defector testimony. Ri Jongho, who managed bureau assets from Dalian, China, provides some of the most detailed operational accounts available to Western analysts. Diplomatic pouches allegedly move illicit cash and drugs through North Korean embassies worldwide, exploiting diplomatic immunity. Labor export programs oversee the contracting of North Korean workers to Siberian logging camps and African construction sites, with wages flowing directly back to the regime. 3 frameworks compete here. The mainstream intelligence theory treats Room 39 as a sanctions evasion engine, a necessary adaptation by an isolated regime to fund its nuclear program and maintain elite loyalty. The historical theory reads it as a modern version of an ancient institution, the privy purse, the personal treasury of a monarch operating separately from the state. The Ottoman Sultan's treasury, the Romanov private reserves, the British Crown estate, all functioned on parallel principles. 2 entirely separate financial systems within one nation. The fringe theory pushes further. Room 39's global network may be far more extensive than defector testimony reveals, potentially embedded in legitimate supply chains in ways no intelligence agency has fully mapped. If they could fool U.S. currency scanners, the reasoning goes, what else could they fabricate at that level of precision? The institutional resilience is remarkable. The Bureau has survived transitions from Kim Il-sung to Kim Jong-il to Kim Jong-un, adapting from counterfeiting to narcotics to cybercrime without losing operational continuity. All external knowledge depends on a handful of individuals who escaped, creating intelligence gaps that may be wider than anyone admits. Entering without top-level clearance is an act of treason punishable by death. But while Room 39 hides wealth, the next entry on this list preserves something more valuable than currency: the ability to grow food after everything else is gone. Number 3, the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. 120 meters inside a frozen mountain on a Norwegian island 1,300 kilometers from the North Pole, a vault holding the future of human food. It sits on Spitsbergen Island in Norway's Svalbard archipelago, built 120 meters deep inside a sandstone mountain, behind reinforced concrete walls and explosion-proof steel doors, designed to hold 4.5 million seed varieties, roughly 2.5 billion individual seeds. Storage temperature is actively maintained at negative 18 degrees Celsius. The engineering has a failsafe. If the cooling system fails entirely, surrounding permafrost maintains a natural negative 3.5 degrees Celsius, enough to preserve viability for extended periods. The site was chosen for a zero tectonic activity and an elevation of 130 meters above sea level, a buffer against even aggressive ice cap melt projections. Inside, the system operates on the black box principle. Depositing countries own their seeds. The vault functions as a safe deposit box. Only the depositor can access their crate. North Korean seeds sit alongside American seeds. The vault does not take sides. Priority focuses on food crops, rice, wheat, beans, the staples of global food security. Some seeds, like sorghum, can remain viable for nearly 20,000 years under these conditions. An airlock system prevents thermal contamination when researchers enter. A low oxygen environment slows seed aging and eliminates fire hazards. At the entrance, Norwegian artist Diveka Sana's light installation Perpetual Repercussion marks the site with fiber optic illumination, art as a beacon on a frozen mountainside. Funding comes from the Norwegian government and the Global Crop Diversity Trust, supported in part by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The vault is nicknamed the Doomsday Vault, but the official purpose is more mundane: backup. Redundancy for the world's 1,700 other seed banks. The emotional weight of that distinction became real in 2015 when the International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas, ICARDA, made the first ever withdrawal. The Syrian civil war had destroyed their seed bank in Aleppo. The vault's purpose shifted from theoretical to urgently operational in a single moment. But the narrative of invincibility took damage in 2017. Unusual permafrost melting caused water to infiltrate the entrance tunnel. The vault's supposedly infallible natural cooling had partially failed. A massive waterproofing upgrade followed immediately. What the flooding revealed was uncomfortable. Climate change is altering the permafrost faster than designers anticipated. A vault built to protect against civilizational collapse is itself vulnerable to the environmental changes it was designed to hedge against. Three theories frame the vault's future: the mainstream engineering position, the 2017 incident was manageable and has been fixed. The vault remains the safest seed repository on Earth. The climate vulnerability theory: the permafrost engine that makes the vault work is degrading, and within decades, active cooling may be required year-round, eliminating the site's key advantage. The fringe conceptual critique: centralized backup is itself a fragile idea. A single vault is a single point of failure. Some researchers argue for hundreds of smaller, decentralized seed vaults distributed across multiple continents. And a deeper question the vault cannot address: seeds alone are not sufficient. The loss of agricultural knowledge, growing techniques, soil requirements, cultivation timing, specific to each variety, matters equally. You can store the seed, but if no one remembers how to cultivate it, the backup is incomplete. Public tours end at the entrance. No unauthorized person enters the storage chambers. Security is monitored 24/7 via remote sensors. Svalbard's polar bear population serves as an unintentional natural deterrent, and from preserving what grows above the Earth's surface, we turn to a place where scientists drilled straight down into the planet itself and discovered that almost everything they believed about its structure was wrong. Number 4. The Kola Super Deep Borehole. A hole in the Earth 12,262 meters deep, drilled by the Soviet Union in a race to reach the boundary between the crust and the mantle. It sits in the Pechenske district of Russia near the Norwegian border. The deepest shaft, designated SG3, remains the deepest artificial point on Earth. The target was the Mohorovičić discontinuity, the boundary where Earth's crust ends and the mantle begins, first identified by Croatian seismologist Andrija Mohorovičić in 1909. Drilling began in 1970. The borehole diameter at the bottom narrows to just 23 centimeters, 9 inches, a needle into the planet. The technology represented an evolutionary leap in drilling engineering. Soviet scientists developed a turbine system where only the drill bit rotated, driven by the pressure of circulating drilling mud rather than spinning the entire drill string from the surface. Conventional rotary drilling could not maintain structural integrity at those depths. The expected temperature at maximum depth was roughly 100 degrees Celsius. What they encountered was 180 degrees Celsius, nearly double the prediction. In modern engineering terms, that is 356 degrees Fahrenheit. At those temperatures, the rock stopped behaving like solid stone. It became plastic, deforming rather than fracturing under the drill. That thermal barrier killed the project. No material available then, or now, can maintain a drilling path through semi-fluid rock at those pressures. Before the heat stopped them, the borehole rewrote geology. At 6 kilometers deep, researchers found microscopic plankton fossils, life at pressures and depths previously thought impossible. They discovered juvenile water, mineralized water squeezed from rock at depths where existing models said it could not exist. Drilling mud flowing from the hole was boiling with hydrogen gas. And the most significant finding overturned textbook assumptions worldwide. Seismic data had predicted a distinct basalt transition layer. It was not there. What seismic waves had been detecting was not a change in rock composition, but a change in metamorphic state. The same rock, under different pressure and temperature conditions, reflected seismic waves differently. This single finding forced revisions to introductory geology curricula globally. The project reached only about 1/3 of the way through Baltic continental crust. The moho remained untouched. Drilling stopped in 1992 after the Soviet collapse. Today, the facility is a ruin. The hole is welded shut with a heavy metal cap. Then, there is the myth. In 1989, a tabloid claimed a microphone lowered into the borehole recorded screams of the damned, the well to hell. No microphone existed that could survive 180 degrees Celsius and those pressures. The audio, it was an edited horror movie loop. But the myth persists. 3 theories frame the legacy. The mainstream geological model, the borehole, confirmed that seismic interpretation of crustal layers was fundamentally flawed, forcing a paradigm shift. The deep biosphere theory, if plankton fossils exist at 6 kilometers, what else might live deeper? Modern deep biosphere research traces its origins partly to these cola discoveries. The fringe theory, a biogenic petroleum, the idea that some hydrocarbons are generated deep within the Earth rather than from biological decomposition. The cola hydrogen findings are cited by proponents as evidence. Most geochemists reject it, but the data keeps the debate alive at the margins. The Japanese drilling vessel Chikyu now represents the latest attempt to reach the moho, this time through thinner oceanic crust. 12,262 meters is only 0.2% of the Earth's radius. We have barely scratched the surface. From a place where danger came from drilling too deep, the next entry presents a threat measured not in depth, but in density. Number 5, Snake Island. A 43-hectare island off the coast of Brazil where up to 5 of the world's deadliest snakes occupy every square meter of ground. Ilha da Queimada Grande sits 33 kilometers off the coast of São Paulo. It is the only place on Earth where the golden lancehead viper, Bothrops insularis, exists. The evolutionary story begins roughly 11,000 years ago. Rising sea levels at the end of the last ice age severed the island from the mainland. With no ground predators, the snake population exploded. Their diet shifted exclusively to migratory birds using the island as a rest stop. The venom adapted accordingly. A fast-acting, neurotoxic compound evolved to kill prey before it could fly away. In clinical terms, that venom causes tissue necrosis in humans. 7% mortality rate without antivenom. Even with treatment, internal bleeding and organ failure are common. Density estimates are not exaggeration. In concentrated areas, researchers have documented 1 to 5 snakes per square meter. They hang from trees in a hunting posture nearly invisible at eye level, a behavioral adaptation absent in mainland relatives. The island spans only 43 hectares, smaller than many city parks, but terrain ranges from bare rock to dense rainforest. Tropical climate increases snake activity and metabolic rate. The lighthouse keeper legend persists. The last keeper and his family allegedly killed by snakes entering through the windows. The Brazilian Navy now maintains an automated lighthouse. Human habitation was deemed incompatible with survival. The legal ban is absolute. Only the Navy and CM bio-authorized researchers may land. Navy patrols enforce the exclusion zone. Scientists who visit wear heavy boots, thick clothing, and carry anti-venom, and still consider every landing extremely dangerous. Despite extraordinary island density, the golden lancehead is classified critically endangered. It exists nowhere else. A high percentage show intersex traits, both male and female characteristics, a genetic signature of extreme inbreeding over 11,000 years. Modern DNA analysis confirms a severe bottleneck. Black market biopirates sell individual snakes for up to $30,000, further threatening the gene pool. 3 theories frame the island. Mainstream evolutionary biology. The golden lancehead is a textbook case of insular evolution and rapid venom specialization. The venom has direct pharmacological value. Proteins from related lancehead species led to the development of captopril, one of the first ACE inhibitors, a drug class that transformed cardiovascular medicine. The historical theory, the island's name Kumata Grande, means big burn, suggesting humans once tried to clear it with fire for a banana cultivation. If true, human intervention may have concentrated snake habitat. The fringe theory, extreme inbreeding and intersex traits, suggests the population may be in genetic decline. Snake Island could become a natural extinction event. Conservation paradox. Protecting the island means protecting a potentially collapsing population, yet captive breeding might remove the evolutionary pressures that make them unique. The island is a natural laboratory for speciation, genetic drift, and the limits of adaptation. But it also teaches a broader lesson. Isolation creates both extreme specialization and extreme vulnerability. From an island forbidden by biology, we descend into tunnels forbidden by darkness and structural collapse. Number 6. The Paris Catacombs. Beneath Paris, 300 kilometers of tunnels. You are allowed to see exactly 1.5 of them. The geological origin dates to the Roman era. Limestone quarries mined to build the city above. The total network extends an estimated 300 kilometers, over 180 miles, with the vast majority unmapped and strictly forbidden. In the late 18th century, Paris faced a public health crisis. Cemeteries like Les Innocents were overflowing. 6 million bodies were exhumed and transferred into the abandoned quarry tunnels. The bones remain there today, stacked in arrangements that range from utilitarian to deliberately artistic. But the forbidden zones are not about the bones. They are about structural instability. Large sections are prone to fontis, sinkholes, where the ground above collapses into the void below without warning. The cataphiles form an underground subculture of urban explorers who illegally map, restore, and inhabit the restricted sections. Navigation methods include Ariadne's threads, literal strings, and highly guarded hand-drawn maps to avoid the spiderweb of identical-looking passages. In 2004, police discovered something extraordinary beneath the Trocadero, a fully equipped secret cinema and restaurant in an unmapped cavern. Electricity, phone lines, a full bar. When police returned to investigate further, someone had already disconnected the power, suggesting sophisticated counter-surveillance within the tunnel community. The IGC, Inspection Générale des Carrières, is the government body responsible for tunnel maintenance and preventing surface collapse. The Cataflics, formerly the Brigade de Sport et Détente, are a specialized police unit that patrols the tunnels to catch trespassers. During World War II, the tunnels served dual purposes. The French resistance used them as headquarters, while the Nazis simultaneously built a bunker beneath the Lycée Montaigne. The thermal profile holds constant at 14 degrees Celsius year-round. Dense limestone absorbs sound so effectively that a person screaming 50 feet away may not be heard. Unmapped sections contain flooded passages with stagnant, bacteria-rich water, pockets of low oxygen, and dangerously high carbon dioxide. Legal penalties for trespassing in forbidden zones carry heavy fines under French law, Article R 610-5. Modern cataphiles have introduced LiDAR scanning and GPS-synced data to create three-dimensional models of the tunnels. The digital mapping revolution raises a question. Is the forbidden status sustainable when technology can chart every passage from above? Total darkness in the deepest sections produces sensory deprivation and hallucinations within minutes. Explorers report time distortion and panic, ghost legends persist, the lady in white, unexplained spectral lights. Three theories frame the catacombs. The mainstream engineering position: the tunnels are forbidden because they are structurally lethal. Fontis sinkholes can collapse streets and buildings without warning. The IGC fights an ongoing battle reinforcing passages to prevent catastrophic surface failure across central Paris. The heritage theory: the 6 million remains represent an irreplaceable archaeological and memorial site. These are human remains, not tourist attractions. Restricted zones protect the dignity of the dead. The fringe's sociological theory: the cataphile community constitutes a genuine underground society with its own rules, hierarchy, art, and governance. The 2004 cinema was organized infrastructure, not casual exploration. The tunnels have always served as a shadow city. The resistance, the Nazis, and now the cataphiles all use the same passages. Whether the catacombs could be safely opened further with modern engineering remains an open question. Paris above ground is roughly 10 kilometers across. The tunnels extend far beyond the city's footprint. From tunnels beneath a city to a bunker inside a mountain and an island haunted by plague. Number 7. Mount Weather, a self-sustaining underground city in Virginia built to house the president during nuclear war. And number 8. Poveglia Island, a place in the Venetian lagoon where the soil is said to be 50% human ash. Mount Weather sits near Bluemont, Virginia, along the Blue Ridge Mountains. 434 surface acres. Its technical designation is High Point, also known as Area B. The facility is built into greenstone, epidote, a rock type that is exceptionally hard and seismic resistant. Its function: continuity of government, housing the president and cabinet during catastrophic events. On September 11, 2001, Mount Weather was fully activated. Senior congressional leaders were evacuated there. The infrastructure includes its own hospital, crematorium, radio and television studio, private police and fire departments, sewage treatment plant, and underground water reservoirs. Massive diesel generators hold months of fuel reserves for total grid isolation. Air filtration runs HEPA and CBRN systems: chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear rated. The nuclear hardening is designed to withstand a multi-megaton blast within miles of the mountain. Security includes razor wire, motion sensors, armed guards with shoot-to-kill authorization, and restricted airspace. In 1974, a TWA flight crashed near the facility. Rescuers were forbidden from approaching the perimeter. Secrecy overrode even emergency response. Thousands work at the facility daily, but few hold top-secret Yankee white clearance for the inner core. Poveglia Island sits in the Venetian lagoon between Venice and Lido, Italy. During the Black Death in 1348 and again in 1630, thousands of plague victims were exiled there to die and burned in mass pits. Locals claim the soil composition is 50% human ash and bone fragments. Archaeological surveys suggest at least 3 major plague pits containing thousands of undisturbed skeletons. In 1922, a mental asylum opened on the island, the Reparto Psychiatria. The ruins still stand. Local legend holds that the facility's doctor, referred to as Dr. Paolo, performed crude lobotomies before leaping from the island's 12th century bell tower, the Campanile. Locals say the bell still rings, though it was removed decades ago. In 2014, the Italian government attempted to auction the island. Public outcry and the absence of bidders killed the deal. These 2 locations are forbidden for opposite reasons. Mount Weather protects the living from future catastrophe. Poveglia protects the dead from disturbance. One is engineered against nuclear fire. The other was shaped by plague fire. Both remain off limits, one by armed security clearance, the other by Italian law and local conviction that the ground itself is cursed. Number 9. Woomera, a stretch of Australian desert the size of Pennsylvania where live missiles still lie buried in the sand. And number 10. Bouvet Island, a glacier-covered volcanic island in the South Atlantic so remote that a lifeboat once washed ashore with no explanation. The Woomera prohibited area covers 122,188 square kilometers in far north-south Australia, roughly the size of North Korea. Established in 1947 as a joint United Kingdom-Australia weapons testing facility, it is currently managed by the Royal Australian Air Force. The nuclear legacy is significant. British atomic tests at Maralinga and Emu Field between 1953 and 1963 fell within Woomera's boundaries. The Marlinga Cheruchia people were forced from their ancestral lands for those tests. The evolutionary steps leading to Woomera trace back through the British nuclear weapons program's need for remote detonation sites far from European population centers. Thousands of unexploded shells, missiles, and radioactive debris remain scattered across the desert. Access zones are divided into green, amber, and red. Red zones are off limits even to most military personnel. The Stuart Highway, the only public road through the area, permits transit but forbids travelers from leaving the road or stopping. Modern use includes testing for Nulka missile decoys, electronic warfare systems, and reportedly, the Boeing Loyal Wingman autonomous combat aircraft. The site also served as a landing zone for Japan's Hayabusa and Hayabusa 2 probes returning asteroid samples to Earth. A wildlife paradox. The weapons range is a haven for red kangaroos and wedge-tailed eagles because zero human interference has created an accidental nature reserve. Unauthorized entry carries up to 2 years imprisonment and $25,000 in fines. Bouvet Island sits at 54 degrees, 25 minutes south, 3 degrees 21 minutes east, a Norwegian dependency in the South Atlantic. 93% are covered by permanent glaciers, surrounded by volcanic cliffs that make boat landing nearly impossible. In 1964, a British expedition found a modern lifeboat on the shore. No name, no oars, no bodies. The mystery has never been solved. In 1979, a United States Vela satellite detected a double flash near Bouvet Island, a light signature consistent with a nuclear detonation. This became known as the Vela incident. 3 theories persist. The mainstream position: it was a covert Israeli-South African nuclear weapons test. Significant circumstantial evidence supports this, including diplomatic communications and the known nuclear collaboration between the two nations during that period. The alternative theory: a natural meteorological event, a combination of lightning and satellite sensor malfunction. The fringe theory: a nuclear test conducted by an unidentified party, possibly using Bouvet's extreme remoteness as cover. The weather is relentless. Constant fog, hurricane-force winds, freezing temperatures. Massive colonies of macaroni penguins and fur seals thrive precisely because no humans can sustain a presence. The island was featured as the fictional setting for the film Alien vs. Predator, and the fiction chose the most forbidden real place it could find. Consider the range. From an ocean coordinate to a government room. A frozen vault to a drilled hole. A snake-covered island to tunnels of bone. A nuclear bunker to a plague island. A weapons desert to a glacier-covered volcano. Every forbidden place on this list exists at the edge of what humans can endure or control. Point Nemo, forbidden by distance, 2,688 kilometers of empty ocean. Room. 39. Forbidden by political power, treason punishable by death. By Svalbard. Forbidden by design, protecting civilization's agricultural backup. Kola. Forbidden by thermodynamics, 180-degree rock that behaves like plastic. Snake Island. Forbidden by biology. Venom evolved to kill in seconds. The Paris Catacombs. Forbidden by structural fragility, 300 kilometers of potential collapse. Mount Weather. Forbidden by national security. Poveglia. Forbidden by death, 160,000 souls and crumbling plague architecture. Woomera. Forbidden by ordnance, living munitions across 122,000 square kilometers. Bouvet Island. Forbidden by climate and geology, hurricane winds, glaciers, and volcanic cliffs. 3 categories emerge: physical impossibility, biological lethality, human secrecy. Each place teaches that the laws of nature, thermodynamics, evolution, geography, are the ultimate gatekeepers. No government ban is as effective as 180-degree rock or 5 snakes per square meter. The innovation these places represent, spacecraft burial, seed preservation, deep drilling, all work within nature's rules, not against them. The most forbidden places on Earth are not hidden by walls, they are hidden by the geometry of the planet itself. The places you cannot go are the places that reveal the most about what we are, and what we are still trying to understand.